So what's new with Scooby-Doo? Turns out, quite a lot. The binger knows that the new Scoob movie isn't going to turn out like you think it is. Yes, it's a brand new Scooby-Doo film that finally showcases Mystery Inc. in all their 3D animated glory. But wait, there's more. Tony Cervone, the film's director, dropped big news in one of his interviews. He directly compared Scoob to Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. We do not take comparisons like that lightly and are determined to figure out what that will look like. Get ready, we're jumping right in and solving this mystery. Sure, you probably remember whatever adaptation you grew up with, but we're gonna play it safe here. Everyone needs to assume that we all know nothing about Scooby-Doo, alright? It's the only way we'll get through this entry. Who knows, you may even surprise yourself and learn something new. So Mystery Inc. got its launch at Hanna-Barbera Productions in 1969. The show was created by Joe Ruby and Ken Spears with a simple pitch in mind. 4 teenagers and their talking dog go around solving mysteries. Thus, Scooby-Doo Where Are You was born. Fun fact, Shaggy is actually the character's nickname. His real name is Norville Rogers. Just let that one sink in. Over the decades, the show evolved and was rebooted on several television networks. Each stop added something different to the mix. The version most of you are probably familiar with is the live-action movies. Those 2 films and the direct-to-VHS films were probably the most obtainable way to learn about the franchise. What we have now is a new generation's introduction, but a movie that honors the past too. That was the briefest recap of these characters we could do for you all. Before we jump into theories and general concepts, let's discuss the facts. After all, we need to know what's confirmed before we can start tossing ideas out there. Otherwise, we're just a bunch of slackers that Velma would be ashamed of.
Not really. They all turned out to be fakes.
Tony Cervone directed this animated film with a reboot in mind. Once more for the people in the back, this is a reboot! We're getting a Scooby and the Gang origin story.
I guess our new movie is an origin story.
However, best we can tell, they jump to the present day rather quickly. No one wants to spend an entire film watching characters grow into something we already know they become. It's hard to pull off a story like that. The bigger news is the voice actors chosen for the cast. Turns out, Frank Welker is the only returning cast member from any of the series. Joining this iconic voice of Scooby is Zac Efron, Will Forte, Gina Rodriguez, and Amanda Seyfried. Talk about a star-studded cast. So those are facts, but now it's time to talk about feelings. Look, if you're old enough to surf YouTube, you're old enough to remember an earlier version of Scooby-Doo. Now we hate to break the bad news to you, but this won't be like the old times. In fact, we've got a feeling things are going to change drastically. Which, you know, is the whole point of this video. It's going to be one of the main ways this movie is going to be like Into the Spider-Verse. We apologize for those Velma-level sassy comments, but we need to hinder your expectations. Here's the reality. Your experience with this film is really going to depend on what baggage you take into it. If you come in wanting it to be like the James Gunn live-action movie, you're going to be disappointed. The same goes for all those classic animated movies like Cyberchase and Zombie Island. Scoob is new and meant for the youngest generation. The studio wants to tap into the younger kids' sensibility and make some risky moves. So expect the unexpected and enjoy this wild new ride. What gives us the authority to tell you this new movie is going to be insanely different? Well, actually, there's an interview with director Tony Cervone that gave us all of the clues we needed.
Take a look at this. Jesus Christ, that right there.
Right here is where all those threads come together, and the argument starts making sense. See, Cervone kept comparing Scoob to Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse in an interview with ComingSoon.com. Big deal, you say. He just wants to correlate his movie to a big successful one. Look, sure, that could be the case, but the content matters here. What Cervone laid out was an expansive Hanna-Barbera universe debuting in this movie. What's more, all that means an even bigger storyline than what we're all expecting. Watching the trailers obviously brings up the Blue Falcon and the fact that Dick Dastardly will be the villain. For the uninitiated, both those references are to retro Hanna-Barbera cartoons that shared a lineup with Scooby-Doo. The point is, there are way more cameos than just those 2 in this film. Not convinced? Well, we still have a few more entries to sell you on this. Hopefully, you believe in one fact, and that is that Scooby will be meeting other Hanna-Barbera cartoons. We literally see the Blue Falcon in the trailer. We just don't know how closely this movie is going to relate to Spider-Verse. After all, that film is about dimensional rifts that lead to alternate realities. In these realities, Spider-Man is always different in a memorable way. No audience is gonna buy that with Scoob, right? Well, actually, that scenario feels plausible. The Blue Falcon appears to be doing some timey-wimey stuff in the trailer. It could be a way to separate from comparisons to Spider-Verse. The crew of Scoob might have taken more risk in the animation department. Perhaps we'll see multiple styles depending on the universe they're in. Maybe the dimensional cameo characters will simply obey their own reality's physics like in Spider-Verse. Just talking about the possibilities has our mind racing. Warner Brothers is setting up something big with a more full Hanna-Barbera universe in this movie. Two big elephants in the room need addressing before any of the smaller theories. Okay, so none of these ideas are small, but these are definitely the two biggest things we noticed. First off, Spider-Ham acts and resembles a Hanna-Barbera cartoon. There's no way we get a cameo from our favorite swine web-slinger, right? It just isn't possible given the studio rights, but crazier things have happened. Face it, even a nod to this revolutionary film would be nice, but legally questionable. It's not like they can just pop a Spider-Man mask on Scooby-Doo whenever they want. There is a bigger question though. You all know it's coming. We skipped over it in the History of Scooby-Doo entry, but we're circling back around. Over the course of this Great Dane's adventuring, he's run into family members and alternative versions of himself. Yes, we hear your excitement through the screen. It's possible we could be getting cameos from Scooby-Dum and Scrappy-Doo. But why stop there? The writers may have fully embraced Into the Spider-Verse and expanded the lore, so we finally get Scooby Noir. Anything's possible. Sorry, that last part was the caffeine talking. We've since come down and we're ready to talk about the actual characters that might show up. Scooby Noir was a bit out there, we'll be real. But that doesn't mean practical Hanna-Barbera staples won't grace the silver screen. For all we know, they may bring back the retro Batman look and have him help our favorite mystery solvers. That director interview clearly laid out a franchise. Still, he never specified how limited the Hanna-Barbera universe would be now. With a time machine plot device in the works, we see two families with apparent reasons to show up. Yep, it's about time the Flintstones and the Jetsons got out of their comfy semi-retirement and entertained a new generation. If Scooby and the gang are traveling around with the Blue Falcon, this makes the most sense. Earlier, we gave you the voice cast of the main characters, but we have to come clean. We held back on some of the names that have been tied to this film. We only know what the trailers and such have shown us, so don't think this is the end of the list. Movies like this love saving a few celebrity cameos for the premiere as a way to build press. Anyway, so we know for a fact that Tracy Morgan is set to play Captain Caveman. Joining Captain Caveman, as always, is Dee Dee Sykes, played by Kiersey Clemons. By now, you know that Mark Wahlberg is Blue Falcon and Jason Isaacs is Dick Dastardly. However, both Simon Cowell and Ira Glass are set to play themselves in this movie too. That is a weird celebrity cameo team-up, but we're just not gonna question it. Of course, the final trailer also leaves Shaggy remarking that he wants The Rock to play him.
I want The Rock to play me.
Never gonna happen.
Wait, we're not saying that Dwayne Johnson will be playing Shaggy, just showing up as a brief character appearance. Speaking of Mr. Norville Rogers, aka Shaggy, we've got a feeling this movie is going to relate to Into the Spider-Verse in another way. That film embraced the source material fully. They showed an evident ability to be tapped into the trends without looking dated. Expect Scoob to attempt to follow suit. We might get Super Saiyan Shaggy, you guys. The point is, we think that the writers probably put in some references to the fan culture around Scooby-Doo for us to enjoy. If we're lucky, they will have found a way for Matthew Lillard to step away from his DM screen and cameo. It's the least they could do for an actor so loyal to the franchise. All of this meme awareness feels possible based on the humor the trailer showed of the movie. The writers used little snaps of fun to bring levity to the script. The Blue Falcon actually dabbed on screen. Come on, there's no way to avoid this outcome now. So if we mix all of this together like the Professor and Powerpuff Girls, what do we get? Turns out, we're looking at a lot of uncertainty with a little bit of Chemical X mixed in. Scooby is going to be doing a lot in this movie. They're setting up an entire universe of characters. What we've done is constructed a Spider-Verse-like version of that, since Tony Cervone seems destined to compare the two constantly. Keep in mind that this may not be the case. It might be some time before the studio actually brings some of our beloved favorites back to the big leagues. Even with the confirmed celebrity cameos, we're already looking at a busy cast. It's just hard to say how far the writers ran with the concept. What we know will happen is Mystery Inc. will get an origin story. The Blue Falcon will recruit Scooby and Shaggy for a mission that might involve time travel. At some point, they'll run into a few Hanna-Barbera characters outside of the Blue Falcon and Dick Dastardly. From there, a whole universe will grow from Scoob. Jinkies, look at the time! We hope you enjoyed theorizing about Scoob with us. Do you have some cameos you want to see? Share them in the comments below. Special thanks to all of our subscribers. So like this video and subscribe to The Binger to get notifications about our daily videos. See you next time!